The Dog and Deuce Show is produced by Dymar Productions in association with Studio B Productions.
Still quarantined in a secret bunker somewhere in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. Utah football picked up its first win of the season, and BYU's New Year's Six hopes came up a yard short. The college football goes on. We'll preview this weekend's games. Plus, what's going on with Rudy Gobert's contract? Should Jazz fans be worried? Also, we'll break down every game of Week 14 in the NFL. All that and much, much more coming up on Dog and Deuce number 350.
From Studio B in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. Join the conversation at doganddeuce.com or send an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening to episode 350 of the Dog and Deuce Show. If you want to know more, and I sure hope you do, follow along with the show notes at doganddeuce.com.
Watch the show all weekend long on Cape Hatter TV and Backcountry TV, or you can listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We would love to hear from you. Send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
I'm Deuce.
And this is episode 350 of Dog and Deuce. Hey, before we get into the whole Dog and Pony show, I got to give you some mad props, man. We're going to do NFL later, but I got to give you mad props. I think you're the only one in the entire country that picked Washington to beat Pittsburgh. Jeez.
Never in doubt, baby.
What
a craziness, dude.
I must have done something to piss you off last week because you came out swinging on NFL this week. Like,
man,
you knocked it out.
I was
of the
pretty
park.
happy about that, but that was more of Pittsburgh losing it than Washington winning.
Yeah, but dude, you specifically, it wasn't just like running down picks and you're like Washington. You specifically stopped and said, I'm telling you, Washington is going to beat Pittsburgh.
Well, I appreciate that. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going. Does that count for 10?
You know what? It should. It should.
It should.
But that's not how it works.
I wonder what the odds were on Vegas on that, baby. Man,
I don't know.
You had a parlay with Washington. Does that increase your payout?
You could have made a lot of money on that one, man. Mr. Calling.
Well, still behind, though. Still behind.
You're still behind.
But I do appreciate that. That's a nice way to start the show with positivity.
Dude, that was like, I couldn't even believe it. Like, I wasn't even watching the games. I was just kind of watching the scores. And when that came through, my jaw dropped to the ground. I couldn't believe it. It's crazy, man. Good job. Good job. You never go wrong when you put faith in Alex Smith.
Dude, I got to ask you a question, though. First of all, let me say welcome to the Alien Tape family. As part of this family, you are now entitled to wonder if you should ever buy Alien Tape.
I'm sold, man. We were talking.
I still can't believe we should throw them on our Twitter when we put this out. They got to have a Twitter handle, a tweet.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Put that on there. See if we can't get some free.
So,
like, dude,
if you're not following the saga, James, like weeks ago, I mean, this is a couple months ago, maybe you were telling me about how you saw like it's one of those commercial, like those short infomercial type things for Alien Tape, and I was like, oh my god, dude, what a boomer! Like seriously, what are you telling? But then the BYU game was on ESPNU, and that's pretty much all they air, those type of ads. And the one for Alien Tape came up, and I was like, oh my god, I get it. I see the light now.
I've always wondered about those. Can
it really hold some of that stuff? That looks crazy strong, man. I don't know, man. That's nuts.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
That's the beauty of it. Whether it does or doesn't, you're gonna buy it. I've held off though. Second question. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're gonna get some free Alien Tape.
Yeah.
If the Lord loves us. Second, do you own a jean shirt?
Like a denim shirt? No.
Okay, so if I buy you a black denim shirt, will you wear one?
Yeah. If it's black, absolutely.
Merry Christmas. Well, I knew I only would buy it if it were black.
I have a denim.
I'll buy you any color of anything when I buy it if it's
But the thing is, today I'm wearing all red, like all red shorts, right. Red shirt, red hoodie. So it's crazy.
You got a black hat on, though.
And I do have a black hat on. I got to have some token black in there. But I do have a black denim jacket that I sew patches and put buttons on.
Okay, so we'll get the black matching shirt, and you'll be all stylish. Dude.
Yeah, hell yeah, man! I love that. I love
All
that.
right.
Okay, let's jump into this. So first of all, let's start with the good news. Utah got their first win of the season, and they tried their damnedest to let it squeak by. I thought, honestly, I was pretty nervous there because it's just a very Utah thing to do to give up another lead like that. But they held on, and it looked freezing cold. I know someone who was working at the game said it was deathly cold there. I was waiting to go to bed. These late games suck. So would you rather have a late game like the 8:30 kicks or the 10 a.m. kicks that's coming up on Saturday?
For me, I'd rather have the 8:30. But here's the thing you have to remember, and I keep telling my wife this when we sit down for it, because she's like, I'm tired, like 10 minutes in. We haven't had the buildup, the training. Right now, if the Utes were in the conversation, we had been in the Pac-12 after dark or that late window wherever, it would be okay. It would be like normal. But it's 2020 and what we've had 4 games. This will be our 4th game, right? And so your body, I mean, it really, I don't want to say it feels like a lost season because I'm grateful that they even have taken the field, even if Colorado game doesn't go off. But I mean, it does sort of feel like a lost season, right? At least to me.
Yeah, it feels like a throwaway season. Like it's, get out there, get some experience, get Britton Covey an extra year of eligibility. So he'll be probably, I think, you have to double check. I think he'll be 38 by the time he graduates from the U.
That man on that.
Seriously. But yeah, it feels like a throwaway season. But you're right. We haven't been able to train our bodies. And I mean, my 40th birthday is coming up. I can't stay up late like I used to. I can hang with TV, even though I am tired by the end. When it's a late game and I go to the games, that's when I struggle, man. Like it's got to be a really exciting game, and then the high of the win gets me home. Because if it's like a blowout, it's such a pain to get out of that stadium. Transportation sucks. So to get home, by the time you get home, it's like 12:31. It sucks. It's terrible.
For sure.
But Utah did hold on, man. And what did you think about the overall performance?
I mean, look, you start to get the uneasy feelings because it felt exactly like the week before and the outcome was not positive, right? Luckily, they were able to hold on and the defense showed who they were. But I mean, let's not kid ourselves, right? It was the second string quarterback, right? And the not star running back. That's the scary part for me. I mean, the first, I'd say 3 quarters, it felt really, really good. In the 4th, it got really tight.
Yeah.
And, they pulled it out, and a win's a win. At least we know we're not going to lose every game this year. But it was disappointment. I mean, it felt like they pulled back and went very vanilla on the offense. And I heard Kyle Whittingham this week say it's unacceptable. Well, I mean, look, I'm just willing to give most of the people the benefit of the doubt, given the scenario that they're playing through, actually, Would I like to see that improved from week to week? Absolutely. But I think you can I think the offensive line looked better for the most part. And I wish some of our receivers were getting more touches, right? Obviously stoked to see Covey run a punt back and see him return, to glory.
How long have we been waiting for that? It just feels like before he left on his mission, it felt like he was going to be the guy to do that all the time. Like he was going to be the next Shaky Smithson. And so it's been great to see it happen.
And he looked bigger and he looked quick. He looked really, really good in the spurts where you saw him. And he's going to have another year of eligibility. I hope he has a PhD by the time.
Dude, he's going to be a junior next year.
I know.
A junior. Like, it's nuts.
It is. So, it was good to see him. And the victory, it is what it is. Honestly, Colorado, like, after the game, I kind of just threw that one, accepted the W, and kind of threw it away just like I did the week before, and it felt like the same game, just this time the defense was able to hold up a little better, which I don't think will be good enough versus Colorado.
Yeah, it's The biggest concern was the inability to get in the end zone in the red zone. It happened eventually, but to keep coming up short like that was because I don't think that was all execution. A lot of it was, don't get me wrong, but a lot of that was play calling too, I think, not playing to your strengths. But it felt good to get in the win column. And if I have to see one more stat that has been, 300 and however many days since the Utes won a game, more than anything, I'm just glad that I don't have to hear that ever again.
Hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like 355 days, I think, is what it was.
God, that's awful.
That is,
really, all it was a 4-game losing streak, right? Like it's not like it was a big deal, but they just had to play it out like that.
Yeah. That it really hit home where we're at in the world, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did. It was good to get the win. I think it's good that you got the young guys out there and were able to hold on to that. I understand it wasn't against great competition, but it's good that you see them struggle, face a little bit of adversity, and then get the win on top of that, unlike what happened the week before. So to me, this season, we talked about how it's a wasted season or a throwaway season. It really, it's not really, because we are getting these guys reps. It's like preseason. That's what this is. It's like preseason. These guys are getting game reps. They're getting experience, but the games do count. So it's even a little bit better. So to me, I've seen people get overly excited about the win, and I saw people get overly down about the loss the week before. I don't think this is the season for that. This is a season just to enjoy that we have Utah football. So just have fun with it. I'm really glad they won, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was much happier on Saturday than it was the week before. Much happier.
No doubt about that. I'll second that. Winning's always better than losing, and that is a good perspective. When I say loss or throwaway season, not really. It just feels that way. I mean, these guys are getting invaluable playing time and not losing a year of eligibility. The crazy thing to think about, and I was just thinking about this the other night, is like, how does this affect recruiting?
That's a good question.
If you're not losing a year of eligibility, and people aren't going pro, you're not having people filter out. Like, what does that mean for high school seniors? And if you're BYU, does that mean you might have better opportunity than you would have in the past because of this situation, especially locally?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I'm kind of going through the box score here. What did you think of Jake Bentley, his bounce back performance? What were your thoughts watching him?
Look, I don't think it was bad, but he just, what is the word? You expect, or at least maybe this is part of, our erroneous concept of some parts of the SEC. You just expect him to be more polished. It seems like he gets flustered more than I would expect, given how much he played. Played in the past. And that's maybe the reason, why he had to leave South Carolina. Maybe that sort of writing was on the wall down there as well. But it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. And it felt like he, again, missed some opportunities where the game wouldn't even have been an issue at the end had he hit them.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
No, all you.
I was just going to say, but, you got to give him props. He obviously, what quarter was it in where they had to wrap his hand? It was bleeding profusely. Was that like the second quarter?
I think so.
I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But give him points for toughness, and maybe that's why he missed a few of the other ones. I am starting to worry slightly that some of our receivers aren't getting the touches that I sort of expected them to get. And what that means, I was reading a stat the other day. There's so many kids in the transfer portal right now because they're not losing a year of eligibility, et cetera, et cetera. I hope that it's not the case for the Utah football team that we see a few leave, but it may be.
Yeah, that would suck bad. And I don't know if this is a byproduct of Bentley not getting them the ball or if they're just not getting open. I have to think that probably has a little bit to do with Bentley's inability to be accurate at times, because some of those missed throws were pretty bad. And it would make sense if the hand was causing that. But it's guys played football in the SEC, and I understand he missed a full year So I get there's going to be some cobwebs. It's going to be some rust, but not to that degree, right? Like, how do you go out there in the SEC and you go out there every day and this is what we're getting in the Pac-12 with much worse defenses. So I don't know. We got to see some improvement, and we have seen improvement, but I like to see more improvement. And I know Colorado's actually got a pretty good defense. Makes me a little nervous, but I'd like to see him be a little bit more accurate, find a little bit more rhythm in his throwing, and with the timing with the receivers. Because I agree, man, we gotta get our guys some touches.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, and this just occurred to me, but he's a graduate transfer, I believe. So, I mean, he could play right away, and we've just had the delay in the season, right? And he hasn't blown a year of eligibility. So is he coming back next year too?
I would assume so.
I mean, that's even more like that'll be bizarre.
It'll be weird, man. It'll be really weird because we had these two touted guys coming in, waiting to kind of take over the program after Huntley left. And obviously Cam, he has not got much playing time, but from what we saw from him in his very brief moment, looked leaps and bounds above Jake Bentley. Like way, way better than him. Who knows what would have happened, but there's still a quarterback battle in camp. If you're going to believe what the reports were coming out of camp, that is. So you never know. Maybe that continues to next year. I don't know, man. Like, I tell you what I do like about Jake Bentley, though. I like his attitude a lot. I like he feels like a leader on the field and on the sidelines. Just got to get that accuracy going, man. He just, especially when you see Jack Tuttle with Indiana and what he did over the weekend. That sucks, man.
You went there, dude.
I had to, man.
There?
He did get
you
injured.
Went to the Tuttle,
but dude,
dang,
there's a little bit. Not gonna lie, man. There's a little bit like
cold-blooded, man.
Man, it stung a little bit. Didn't it sting for you?
I just kind of chuckled. Because the dude who was in front of him was so much better. Penix.
For sure.
Woo.
But also, yeah, you come in, man.
I'm glad he's getting it, but I like Cam Rising. He just got hurt.
Yeah.
But I think I do want to hit back on a point that you made, and I totally agree with you. And I think if you're a head coach and you're Kyle Whittingham, Jake Bentley's attitude is literally the best possible attitude you could have for someone in this scenario. Like, he just seems... I mean, everyone gets frustrated and down, but he really seems to be able to focus back to the positives and like very upbeat, which, I mean, given all that this whole team has gone through, that's pretty important, right? So I agree with you. His attitude, I mean, every time when I see him on the sideline, I'm like, yeah, all right. I trust
it's fun. It's super
fun. But I do agree, and that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see. I do wonder, and I don't have enough information on whether or not his graduate eligibility is burned by this year. I would think it wouldn't be. That'll be, be interesting. And we've brought in another quarterback too.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You can see why he was voted captain.
For sure.
You can see.
I mean, that is a compliment in that short of a time to be putting a C on your jersey is amazing.
And that's not the first time Utah has had a captain who's not starting at quarterback. We saw it with Troy Williams.
True.
And that dude earned it every bit as much as Jake Bentley has. So pretty cool. Let's preview real quick this Colorado game. Colorado's good. What the hell? It is 2020. I mean,
the beauty of this, if you're a Utah fan, right, is revenge has got to be on your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, they got a shot. They have a legit shot at playing for the Pac-12 title. If they win this game, I mean.
Dude, you never know, man. You never know. Like, seriously, it's is this really becoming a rivalry?
Well, I mean, we're 7-2 versus them since we've been in the conference, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, but think about those two losses. That one was the Utes' first year, and that, I mean, to get a chance to go to the Pac-12 title game in your first year in the conference, when a lot of people were saying you didn't belong, and then you blow it in Colorado, who's not good at all. I mean, to me, that one still stings.
Oh, it totally does. I mean, I consider them I mean, I think USC, just based on the trajectory of our program, sort of fits the mold a little better, and our ties to recruiting Southern California. A lot of our players come from there. A lot of our coaching staff comes from there. So I would say but it's developing. I mean, the 2 times they beat us definitely hurt for sure, And this year it's time to return the favor. I mean, what's their running back's name? Jerry Broussard. He had 300 yards last week. He's been like Pac-12 Player of the Week at least twice, maybe even 3 times that I can remember during this season, And their quarterback, what's his name? Oh man, why am I blowing this here? Sam Neuer, he can do some things. Not a very good passer, not great passer, but he can scramble, he can run, and he can create plays with his feet, which sometimes has caused Utah a little bit of a problem when they've played quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, that's been a rough point for Utah's defense for years. The mobile quarterbacks, man, that's tough. So this is a good team. Plus, their defense is good. It's solid. It stumbled a little bit early on. It allowed, let's see, UCLA to score 42 on them, Stanford to score 32 on them. That was, look, man, that was first 2 games back. We've given Utah a pass a little bit with their opening games. I think in this season, you got to give everyone a little bit of a pass in their opening games. Since then, San Diego State, not nearly the caliber of some of these other teams. They only put up 10, and Arizona only put up 13, and they can score too. So I think the defense is solid, and I think it can. This is why I really would like to see Jake Bentley get more rhythm in this game, because if he can, I think this is a solid defense that builds confidence going forward, and I think they're really going to need it.
Yeah. Look, you want to this game's extremely important for both teams. Like you say, it could be really sort of a seminal moment in a coach's first year, right? Mel Tucker left the program, and now you're on the precipice of going 5-0 and in literally the craziest year you could imagine. So it's huge.
Yeah.
And like you hit on that first year in the Pac-12,
Dude, that sucks, man.
It wouldn't have been, I don't know how much we would have earned it, so to speak, because it was bad and it was sort of, backwalking, or what's the word there? What do they always say? Backing in, or
right. It was because USC they were ineligible for postseason play. And I think it was UCLA ended up going and getting throttled by Oregon. But still, to even be there, whether you backed in or not, as your first time in the conference, and who was the quarterback back then? It was was it John Hayes?
I think Hayes was one of them for sure.
Yeah, and John Hayes, love him, but man, he probably shouldn't have been playing for a P5 school. It was tough, man. And for them to even be in that conversation was pretty incredible. So, yeah, man, it's not a rivalry, but we're starting to build up a little bit of a relationship. There's some losses that still rub us the wrong way. So I'd like to see us seek some revenge on that.
Absolutely. And look, we have some experience, or we know that Carl Durrell used to coach UCLA, right? From 03 to 07. So he knows the Pac-12, and he's going to be able to have access, not only as the head coach of Colorado, but to other parts of the Pac-12 that maybe a new head coach from down south might not. 4-0 to go 5-0 in your first season like this is, that's break open the champagne, man. Whether or not you get to the Pac-12 championship or not, congratulations. Having said that, look, I think they rely on the run a lot. And it is extremely rare that the University of Utah's defense ever gets run on. It's once every 30 games.
It's true.
There'll be a running back who breaks off a 180, 200 yard. There was a carry for Arizona, Kareem Carey or whatever. He did it a couple times. But so I'm going to go with our defense, right? And think that can their offense stop our running attack?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Ty Jordan has looked outstanding.
Tremendous.
Outstanding. It's fun, man. It's fun to see because he's so different from from Zach Moss and from what Devontae Booker was. and everybody, like it's so much fun to see a little guy get out there. And look, man, I'm a little guy, so I'm a little biased, but to me, it's just fun, dude. He's just running all over people. And if he even gets a little bit of a hole, he's going to sneak through it and he's going to break off a big one. So I don't know, man. You might be convincing.
He's aggressive.
He's
for
aggressive.
Not being big.
Right.
I mean, he's lower to the ground, so he's got that center of gravity thing going like a lot of, running backs do. But I mean, he's willing to mix it up. And so there's a few times where I'm like, easy, buddy. We need you. You're doing great. I mean, and I love Brumfield too. He's shown some signs, when he's gotten touches. But man, Ty Jordan, excellent so far.
So much fun.
I'm excited for this game. I got Utah winning.
You do. Dude, you've almost convinced me. I'm not there. What's your score?
30-21.
30. Let's see. 30, 21. Okay. So you're really up on our offense then.
I think we're going to I'm accounting for at least one defensive or special teams touchdown.
Game ball, who's it go to?
I think it goes to man, that's a good question. You're gonna have to come back to me on that one. I gotta think that through.
Okay. I wish I had your optimism. From what I've seen from the Utes so far this year, I'm just not sure they're up to this challenge. I hope I'm wrong, but I got Colorado winning 27-20.
Man.
Sorry, man. I hate to say it. I know.
How many games have you picked the Utes to win this year? 2?
I picked them to win last week, and that might be it. I definitely didn't pick them against Washington.
I think I was trying to think that, not like accusing. I was trying to think how many times I picked them, because I don't think I picked them against USC.
I picked them once. Because there's no way I would have picked them against USC.
Right.
So yeah.
It's that kind of year, man.
It's that kind of year. All right, let's move on. So BYU, God, that's tough, because how many times as Ute fans have we been in this exact situation? Last year, except we actually made it all the way to the conference championship game. We were staring the playoff right in the face. We were there, man. We had it, and then just crushed. At least BYU made a game of it, because they did. I mean, literally 1 yard short. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, that was a tough one, man. Like, that was a hell of a game. That was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. But what Coastal Carolina did, they muscled Zach Wilson. They were physical with him. He's been playing these candy opponents all year long. These guys who are not physical. He's bigger and stronger than everybody on the field, and he has not been pressured or threatened physically. And Coastal Carolina, their game plan was to disrupt him as much as possible, be as physical as possible, and you could tell he was not used to that kind of physical play, and he looked rattled. I will say this, watching him, that dude has a cannon. I've seen him play, and I've seen what his arm could do, but there were some throws in this game that I could not believe. Under pressure, going down, and he still throws it 50 yards. It's insane.
I totally agree with you, though. I think you're right, like, on both accounts. It was interesting. For the most part, it felt like every game BYU's been in, right? The other side was, even if they knew they were undermanned, they acted like it. You know what I mean? And Coastal Carolina, whether they were or aren't, I mean, you can debate all the time, but they didn't act like that. And in fact, they took it to BYU, and there was a lot going on Twitter with that after the interception at the end of the second half, where they were going after him hard. It was pretty close to dirty. I mean, if
that was dirty, dude. That was
was
dirty.
It was right on the edge if it wasn't. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
Because, as any defensive player will ever tell you, man, you get an interception and you're anywhere near a defensive lineman, it's like the only time you can hit the quarterback.
Right.
Look what they did and didn't get a penalty. if they would do that sacking him, it would be a penalty. It's like the only time you can actually play football with the quarterback. So every defensive player, interception. I mean, you watch our defensive line, they throw interceptions. They're like, where's the quarterback? I finally get to hit you and not worry about it. It's what they do. But it was definitely, it was over the line. But I was more shocked, in all honesty, and I think it speaks to what you hit on, one of your points. Where's your offensive line?
Right.
Like, and we experienced this earlier in the year with Andy Dalton in the NFL, where Mike McCarthy's like, how do you recover the fumble, but how do you not just at least slam the dude, right? You got to hit him. I mean, I don't know what, I think, remember when Miles, what's his name? Garrett did that to the Steeler quarterback.
Yep.
What did Marcus Pouncey do? He took off his helmet and started punching him, and it was the backup.
Right.
Like, dude, like the Gomer, like Mason Rudolph. It wasn't like it was Big Ben back there. It was Mason Rudolph, right, dude. And he did that. And so I sort of wondered, like, whoa, where's your big offensive line?
Yeah, no, it didn't feel like anyone was trying physically to impose their will. I mean, that offensive line is way bigger than Coastal Carolina's. They got destroyed. There is no excuse at all. That, you know what that is? That's just a lack of toughness. That's all that is. That is you playing people that you can push around all year long, getting a big head because you went 9-0, and then finally you face some competition who's going to push back, and you're not ready for it. That's what that was. That's all that was. I mean, and I'm not faulting BYU for their schedule, because they went out there and they got everything scheduled that they could. They did the right thing. They did what they should have done. But that doesn't, you cannot replace physical play. You cannot mimic it. You cannot, get that experience. And when you're used to 9 games in a row, that's almost an entire season of not having anyone push back, you're going to get hit in the mouth, man. And you got to be able to recover from that. I understand the shock maybe, but then you bounce back. Like when your quarterback goes down and when he gets, because that was dirty. I think that was a dirty play. You square up and you knock that guy on his ass. Like you let him know. Like, because he was after Zach Wilson all game long. It wasn't just that play. He had a mission. If I was an offensive lineman, you know what? I don't even care if I get a penalty. I'm doing something, man. I'm going to make him hurt. Because who was it? Was it Kyle Turley, the guy who way back in the day, New Orleans Saints, ripped off the dude's helmet and threw it? And he said, you know what? It doesn't matter. You go after my quarterback, you're my enemy. You could be my best friend. You could be my brother. You go after my quarterback, you're my enemy. That's your job, dude. So they need that offensive line to toughen up, because they really let him down. They let that whole team down.
You're absolutely right. And okay, so maybe you miss it at the end of the first half. I get it, right? Maybe you miss it. Nothing. The rest, you play another 2 quarters and there's no, I'm not saying go hurt the guy,
right?
But you don't get a penalty for slamming him, holding, and then like you don't do anything to let him know, like, that's not acceptable. I don't care about the 15 yards, right? And you don't have to get a penalty, but even if you do, I think the whole team would understand. But despite a lack of, honestly, fire in the belly, it looks like they were extinguished for the better part of the game by the intensity that, the Chanticleers brought. Despite that, they had a shot. So, I think I agree with everything you've said, but I think if you're a BYU fan and a player and a coach, given how crazy the game scenario was, which was insane, right? To go that far, in a few days' notice, not a whole lot of game prep can actually be implemented, is something, right? It speaks to at least that you guys are uber talented,
right?
And worthy of a top 25 consideration. I didn't see where they dropped to in the college football
18.
rankings.
So Coastal Carolina and BYU basically just flip-flopped. So okay. Coastal is 13 and BYU is 18.
Okay.
So that's it. That's it. It sucks.
For sure. Well, the question is, I mean, what you really don't want to have happen if you're BYU is blow the chance at getting to 10, right?
Yeah, I
Want
agree.
to win. I mean, I mean, you may be one. You'll definitely be, if you get to 10 wins, one of the only teams in the country with 10 wins.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. You cannot drop this to San Diego State, man. You can't. You got to bounce back, and you got to show that toughness. And 10 wins is a big deal, especially this year. And honestly, you never know what could happen. I mean, they're not getting a New Year's Six bowl, but you might climb up into the top 10 at the end of this by the time this thing's done. If you put a beating on San Diego State, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. You put a beating on San Diego State, and then you can only move up from there because the seasons are going to finish out for everyone in the conference. They're going to go to conference championships. You can only move up. You're not going to be dropping down any. So, I mean, if the cards, are dealt right and things swing your way, it's not crazy to think that you might get into the top 10 again. Probably not. But still, you can't lay an egg.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 10 wins is huge in a normal year.
Right.
Let alone in a crazy pandemic, games canceled. I mean, you played 4 games, right?
I mean, man.
That would be huge.
Right.
I mean, that's Kalani's signature year, I think, and it's quite a triumph for them. But you're right. I mean, it really does beg the question. Look, they almost were able to pull it off last week. Do you have a letdown? Because that was it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Coastal, and you know what that's like, as you've talked about, with everything on the line in that one game, and you not to pull through. It's brutal. Hard. It's hard to want to bounce back. And you saw it with the Utes, I think, last year versus Texas in the Alamo Bowl, right? Destroyed.
Oh, didn't even show up.
Like they didn't want to be there.
Yeah, didn't even show up.
And I hope and pray for BYU the same doesn't occur to them. Look, San Diego State's not great, but they're not bad. I mean, they've lost to Colorado, a team who we've already discussed, and Nevada. They've beat Colorado State, Hawaii, and San Jose State. So they're 3-2. Look, they're going to go 4-2 if they beat BYU. That's a good year too. Relative context, right?
Right.
So, I mean, what do you think? Do you see, or are they just that talented that it won't matter, but they'll look lethargic?
I think BYU got hit in the mouth, and I think they needed to be hit in the mouth and maybe not lose a game. I obviously didn't want them to lose a game, but I think they needed to be hit in the mouth because, and look, BYU fans, I hope you take this with the good nature in which it is said. They were getting a little bit of a big head. I mean, the any team, any place, anywhere thing, there was a lot of tough talk coming out of that camp, and not just from fans. I'm talking about from the team. And so I think they needed to be hit in the mouth. Ideally, you get hit in the mouth and you still win the game, but you realize, okay, we are human. But I think they're going to bounce back now that they've faced a legitimate opponent who has played them tough. I think they know what they need to do now. So I think it was probably a wake-up call. Unfortunately, it's a very costly one, but I think it is a wake-up call. I got BYU winning. They're favored by 17. I got them winning by 14. I'll give them 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, look, I think they're just more talented, although, a couple of the opponents that San Diego State has played this year, specifically Colorado, is pretty good. And they only they put up 10 against them and only gave up 20. BYU is obviously a lot more formidable through the air, which is obviously a weakness for San Diego State. I'm going to go BYU, but I think it's going to be a little closer. I think they're going to be a little lethargic through the first half, turn it on in the second half. I'm going to go something like 27 to probably 20.
Oh, okay. Low scoring.
Yeah.
I think they'll come back down to earth again. They only put up 17 against Coastal Carolina, so.
I mean, I think it's just going to be hard for them to want to go. That's me.
True.
And then they'll work into it and get it rolling.
That's a good point. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's move on to Jazz basketball now. Early on in free agency, we saw Donovan Mitchell extended. We saw the Jazz bring back Derek Favors, which was huge. We saw Jordan Clarkson extended. All of those happened very fast. There's one that has been conspicuously silent, and that is Rudy Gobert. I can only assume, I'm not in the negotiating room, I don't know what's going on. I can only assume that this means that the Jazz do not want to give him the Supermax, which I think Rudy is the most important player on the team. I've said that. Donovan, although in the bubble and in the playoffs, Donovan proved that he's much closer than I would have put him before. But I think Rudy, it just with him on the floor, it changes everything. I think it's so important. I just don't know if I want to give him 35% of my entire roster salary. That's a lot. And I think that's too much for almost any player. So I can only assume that's what it is. I don't know, man. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, we should point out the Jazz did sign Shaq Harrison today, which is not a bad pickup, you know, as a backup point guard. Like, I like it. And I'm guessing the Jazz are done if they can get this done, right? We know reportedly there's an offer on the table. And I think you're right. You hit on it. If it were the Supermax, it would be done, right?
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, because you got your money and we're happy. So it's not. But, and I mean, I sort of wonder, right? They brought back Favors. They drafted a 7-foot, pretty athletic guy who obviously is not right out the gates as good as Rudy Gobert. I'm not even saying that, but he does fill the role, so to speak.
And he's kind of a poor man's Rudy Gobert,
right? With the possibility for development,
right?
You know, I mean, I don't think. Look, Rudy's put in all the work and all that, but no one had him being what he is today, as formidable. Especially, I mean, you know, he is what he is defensively, and he's been that for the better part and had better technique. But his offensively, like his rim rolls and all that, was something that you have seen develop over his time with the Jazz, right? And I mean, it's weird. Like, you know, it almost seems like the offer's there, man, and they're not going to make an offer. If you want to do a sign and trade, if they can find a willing partner, let us know. But because it looks like they have like sort of a contingency plan in place.
So do you think that they made these moves to get Favors and draft a center? Do you think that was like an insurance policy in case Rudy bails next year or whenever? I can't remember when his contract is up. I think it's next year. Or do you think it's them getting ready to replace him?
Well, I think there's an offer on the table, and the fact that he hadn't signed it by the time he was they had a draft pick, they took someone in that realm, and then they signed Favors. I can't remember the chronological order, but it was one right after the other. And I mean, look, those are 2 7-footers. No, they're not a two-time defensive player of the year, but they're 2 agile 7-footers, one who has experience in our offense with this coach and this group of players, and 2, a player who is young but looks like he can fill in reasonably well right off the bat, at least from a defensive and rebounding perspective. And I don't know. I mean, it has me sort of concerned. Like you, I agree. As much as I like Rudy Gobert, and I would like to pay him the Supermax, it's probably too much for this franchise at this moment in time if they want to be even remotely in contention.
Yeah, I mean, it cripples you going forward. It just does for the next 5 years. I think it's really tough, especially
for a guy who can't get his own shot. Right. I mean, if you're going to be a Supermax dude, you have to be the dude who they're calling the play for at the end of the game, no matter what. You can be, there's variations of it, but that has to be the dude. If you're getting the Supermax, it's not even a question, right? And I don't think Rudy Gobert is ever that dude unless it's 0.3 seconds and you're doing a lob for a tip-in.
Yeah, that's what Rudy does. He dunks and he lobs, and he plays the best defense in the league. That's what he does. And
I did see him taking some jump shots this week as camp opened. He was looking pretty smooth.
I've heard he said he's working on it. And for what it's worth, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, for what it's worth, he is saying all the right things. And he's not just saying, what you typically hear when there's contract negotiations where it's like, yeah, I'll do whatever I can for the team and I'll do whatever they want. He's really seems to be very excited about the prospect of having Derek Favors back and having Boyan back. Like he seems to me, and maybe it's me just reading too much into it, he seems more excited than a guy who has one foot out the door. Like, obviously, those guys are typically going to say the right things, but he seems more enthusiastic.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and I also think, a certain part of who Rudy is won't allow him to think that he wouldn't play in Utah. You know what I mean? Because we were that, why he wears number 27, et cetera,
right.
et cetera. And we were that team that took the chance on the kid from France, and look what he's become, So I think he seems like he's very sentimental in that way, right? Mm-hmm. Like that means a lot to him and will forever. And it feels like it would have to be some pretty contentious for him to want to leave.
I agree.
Now that was tested back in March, and it seems to have pulled through, but we'll see. I mean, if the Jazz aren't going to give him the super max and he wants that money, the best thing the Jazz have going for him is he can only get it here. So it's really is like, do you like this city? Do you like this team? Do you like this franchise? Do you want to make it work here? How much are you willing to sacrifice? He's been paid a lot. I mean, and I'm not saying he's not worth it, but Rudy Gobert has made a lot of money in his NBA career so far.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, at least he's not James Harden and out in Vegas partying with his mask off. With no mask.
That's true.
At all.
So, did you read the report of what happened?
No, I didn't.
Between him and the Rockets owner?
What? I did not.
Oh my, and I don't know, I can't remember where I read this, but what I read was they were at a gentleman's nightclub in I think Houston is what I read. Maybe it was Vegas. And he saw his car pull up. James Harden was there, saw the owner's car pull up, and the owner was like going through, and this seems really unlikely, so take what it is, but was going through his dash trying to get money for the parking, which seems unlikely. But James Harden went over there, hit it out of his hand, and said, "This looks like a broke man," or something.
Well, that's the best defense James Harden's ever played in his entire life.
I should check that before I say that. I read it, though, so it must be
true. Know what? I don't even want to know if it's true, because that is the best story I've heard in a long time, and it's very James Harden. I like that.
It wouldn't be unimaginable.
No, not. Are you kidding me? Not at all. The guy he's causing quite the problem for everyone in Houston right now. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. At least he's back there at camp finally. Finally showed up. Okay, let's do NFL. Dude, you freaking killed it, man. Let me pull this up. I had a good week. I had a really good week. Hold on. Got to get my girl. Got to get the trophy. Got to get the trophy.
Bring her out.
I went 11-4, man. Nice. And I was on cloud 9. You went 14-1, dude. And do you know what your one loss was?
Giants.
No. Seahawks.
I picked the Giants. Seahawks, that's right. I thought I lost too. I couldn't remember.
The one game that that you can be forgiven for, that's no one saw that one happening. No one. So yeah.
Seattle's worrying, right? If you're an NFL, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, I mean, they've a little nervous. Some troubles lately.
It's that defense, dude. I'm telling you, it's that defense. It's so bad.
And so weird to say.
It is. It really is. And you know what? The offense couldn't do jack either against the Giants. And Daniel Jones didn't even play, right?
No. God, that was the backup. I can't even remember who the quarterback was.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
The Giants are 5-7. They might actually be able to be 500 or above.
That whole division is sneakily becoming the most exciting race in all of football right now. Like what is going on? It's insane. What is that? The NFC East?
East, baby. NFC East.
So Giants and the Washington football team are both 5-7, and they're both coming on hot lately.
Right.
So
and Alex Smith's playing with bloody legs.
Bloody leg. How worried? Man, that was scary when I saw that. The Washington football team has won 3 in a row. The Giants won 4 in a row. Dude, they were 1-7. They were 1-7, and now they're 5-7. It's crazy to me. So that's actually a fun race to watch.
It really is, in all honesty.
But let's jump into this. You still think New England's going to make the playoffs?
I do. You still doubting them?
Yeah, they're not making playoffs. Dude, they're 6-6. They're third in the division. They need Buffalo to
7 gets them in, man. I'm telling you.
7 wins?
9 wins.
9 wins. Well, then they'd be tied with Buffalo, and I don't know who's won the head-to-head.
No, they'll get in as a wild card. I'm pretty sure Buffalo's going to win that division.
Yeah. Buffalo's got it, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Miami, dude. We'll see. But this week, Patriots and Rams. I'm going with the Rams. This is a tough one, though.
It totally is, and it's a Thursday night game. I'm going Rams, though. I like the Rams. I like, 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, last year, major letdown. This year, a really nice bounce back. No Todd Gurley. Goff's playing better. I mean, Sean McVay's playing calling's better. Defense looks better. Got to go Rams.
And then
Rams, it's to me, it's the Rams or the Saints going to the Super Bowl from the NFC. And I just don't know which yet.
Really? Over the Packers?
I love the Packers offensively because of Devontae Adams and obviously Aaron Rodgers. Their defense just worries me.
It's tough, man. It's tough. So you're going Rams. Next game, Minnesota at Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is gonna take down my Vikings. Vikings suck, man. They've been winning, but they are barely beating awful teams.
Last week when I saw that score, I was
dude,
like,
overtime.
Minnesota's gonna let me down, you little buggers.
Overtime. It's ridiculous.
I mean, 6-6 and 7-5. You are what your record says you are. They're not that far separated. Buccaneers haven't looked great, but yeah, it's at home. I got to go Tampa Bay.
Arizona, the Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to strike gold twice in a row. I'm going to go with Arizona.
I don't think Dan Jones is going to be back. Arizona for sure. And they've been struggling lately as well.
They have. KC in Miami. You do the honors.
KC, man. How can you go against them?
I know.
I
was hoping, man. Tennessee and Jacksonville. No way you're going with the Jags.
No, I'm riding them Tennessee Titans as far as I can.
This one, I had a hard time with this one. Dallas and Cincy. It's bad, man. Dallas, every time I think Dallas's back is broken. I mean, they're not going to go to the playoffs, but they always seem to do something that surprises me.
Yeah, I got to go Dallas.
Yeah, I am too.
Got to.
Houston and Chicago. It's tough, man. Can your Bears do it? It's a home game.
I don't know. Both of these teams are such a mess.
Yeah, it's such a mess.
It's at home, so I'll go Bears, but I have no real reason to.
I am going with the Texans. Denver at Carolina. What do you think?
Carolina, man, they've been sort of on the COVID fence, and I hear they're getting fined because they had a bye-week team gathering, party.
What? Are we the only people in the entire world who knows that there's a freaking pandemic going on? I don't want to do this, but I am this close to cracking, man. People everywhere just don't care, and thousands of people are dying every day.
I know. And yeah, I mean, they're going to lose a draft pick and be fined. The Broncos don't look good, but who knows coming up? Yeah. Go with the better quarterback. I'm going with Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina.
Same. Seattle's going to bounce back, right? Against the Jets.
Was that the worst loss you've ever seen in your life?
That was pretty bad, man.
I was watching that live. I literally thought it was a dream.
I remember Chris Collinsworth just a few weeks ago talking about how Seattle's going to the Super Bowl. And just watching that, I'm like, no, there's no way. You cannot have this kind of loss and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was talking about the Jets loss, though.
Oh, the Jets, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Losing on a last-second 50-yard touchdown.
Dude,
to remain defeated. I was like, dang, Fireman Ed, I hope you're all right. Yeah, that was terrible, as was Seattle. But
the only loss I've seen that's worse was a couple years ago when Miami had the 2 laterals to beat New England. And
right,
I think they even had Gronk playing defense as a safety, and he missed the tackle that would have stopped it. Right. Yeah, that's the only.
Taking me back.
Yeah, that's the only loss I've seen that's worse.
Ooh. Yeah, I gotta go see that.
Yeah, same. Indy at Vegas.
Man, I don't know. I'm going to go Indy, but the Raiders, they're not bad, man. And they showed me a lot of fight, but I'm going Indy. I like that defense.
Yeah, same. Okay, Washington and San Francisco. Are you going to keep riding your boy?
I mean, look, the Niners didn't look that good the other night. Oh, was it Monday night? What a Monday night game. Who was it? Like the Niners? And I can't even remember. It
sucked.
I
think it was like Denver. Maybe, no, Denver was Sunday night.
I can't. It was not awesome.
No.
But, and I don't think Jimmy G is going to be back. So I'm rolling with the Washington football team.
I am too, man. I'm really proud of Alex Smith right now. Couldn't be prouder.
He's got to be the hands down comeback player.
Dude,
year, right?
There's no even a second place. Like
Okay.
name the trophy after him. New Orleans at Philly. Obviously going Saints, right?
The Eagles always play the Saints well.
They do.
And I mean, even though they're winning, the Saints are winning with Taysom Hill, and he showed a little bit more passing ability last week. That front four of the Eagles is really good. Yeah, but you got to go Saints because the defense is really good too, and it's Jalen Hurts.
Atlanta at the Chargers.
Toss-up game, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm going Atlanta on the road. But there's no reason. I have nothing. I don't know. I don't care about this game.
Seriously, dude. I got to pick them all. Yeah, we do. I'm behind. I'll go San Diego then. Let's go, Justin Herbert.
Green Bay at Detroit.
Green Bay.
I had a feeling. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Pittsburgh. I mean, you're Nostradamus here with Pittsburgh. They lost to Washington. I'll tell you right now who I'm going with. I'm going with Buffalo.
You're going with Buffalo.
I'm going with Buffalo.
Wow.
Against my better judgment.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers right here then.
All right. And then the Monday matinee, Baltimore at Cleveland. Another good game. Is Baltimore getting it together? Can they string a couple together?
They better.
And
you know what? The whole AFC hopes they don't.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
I mean, I think the Browns have clinched a playoff berth.
Oh,
so
have they?
We need to take a moment. I mean, that's a big deal for the Cleveland Brown fans to be in the playoffs. Congratulations. On the verge of 10 wins. I'm rolling Cleveland.
You're going Cleveland. I'm going Baltimore. Okay.
Come on, Baker.
And that is going to do it. You have successfully picked quite a few different from me. We have a couple weeks left. Comeback's not likely, but you never know. We've seen crazier things have happened in this world this year. So we'll see what happens. That is going to do it. Episode 350. We've done this for 350 episodes. We've sat down. Even when we're apart, we're still doing the show. So come back next week. We got more stuff, man. We're going to be talking Utes, Cougars, hopefully Aggies, if they can actually win. And, of course, some NFL and Jazz preseason right around the corner, man. It's here. It'll be here. We'll be talking about their first preseason game. So that'll be good. Come back next week. Until then, we want to know what you think of the show. Send us an email, doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks for making us a part of your quarantine.